What is up, guys? We are on the fifth shelf of my recent releases. Starting off with Free Guy. This was an amazing movie that came out during COVID. Absolutely hysterical. Worth watching if you haven't seen it before, for sure. You want to talk an original idea, this is definitely it, and it's Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds through the whole thing. There's rumors of there being a sequel to this movie. I would love to see that. It was one of the last movies that Fox had before they sold to Disney. So, I mean, it's definitely worth a watch. Need to check this out 100%. Then we have Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings. Obviously trying to get all the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And this was a lot better than I thought it would be. I thought this was going to be kind of a lame movie. But Marvel always surprises me as far as not having any total flops or anything. Very solid. Very funny, too. Awkwafina did great in this movie, and so did the lead guy. I'm going to mispronounce this. Simulu. But yeah, absolutely amazing movie. Worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. Then we have Cop Shop with Gerard Butler and Frank Grillo. This is, I love Gerard Butler movies. It is different, don't get me wrong here. But it is violent and it is gory. I don't know if I would say it would, certified fresh, but it's original. And she actually steals the movie as far as being the best character. But I mean, it's worth checking out if you're a Gerard Butler fan. Then we have 007, No Time to Die. This is the last Daniel Craig James Bond movie. Kind of slow moving through the middle of this movie compared to other James Bond movies. Casino Royale I'd still consider to be my favorite. Rami Malek did great as the villain in this movie. But yeah, the ending is definitely different for a James Bond movie. Worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. Then we have Halloween Kills. I'm a big fan of the Halloween franchise, but these three new movies have not impressed me at all. This was worse than the first one. Have not seen Halloween Ends yet. I'll be honest, I'm not looking forward to seeing it either, considering this one was even worse than the last one. Comments down below if you've seen Halloween Ends, if it's even worth checking out, or if I should just give up on it and wait for it to be like in the $5 bin somewhere. But yeah, not a huge fan of this. Then we have Dune. I watched this on HBO Max because it came out during COVID shutdowns and stuff like that when they were releasing them on HBO Max as well. And this is it's a real political kind of movie. I'm sure anyone who's seen the originals knows that. So it's slow moving. And, you're not super invested in any of the characters, but the visuals and the sound of this movie is second to none. I mean, this could give Christopher Nolan a run for his money. I mean, Denis Villeneuve, I believe is how you pronounce it, is probably right up there with Christopher Nolan as far as visual directing. So, I mean, great movie in that sense, and an amazing cast. Then we have Eternals. Out of all of the Marvel movies, this is probably my least favorite, just because, you're not super invested in these characters. Whether or not they will come into play later on in the MCU, I don't know. But, again, not super invested in these characters. I don't know, this is kind of a swing and a miss. But, and even though this is the worst Marvel MCU movie I've seen so far, it's still better than DC. Then we got Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. They were trying to reboot Resident Evil after they literally just ended the last one, which is ridiculous. And that's why people probably get pissed off. There's only so much viewers are willing to take. This is supposed to be more of a video game take instead of the made-up take that P.W.S. Anderson made. Unfortunately, this one was worse. Way, way, way worse. I hope they don't make a sequel to this. Please don't make a sequel to this. Comments down below on what you thought of this. Then we have The Matrix Resurrections. I was so pumped for this movie to come out. You know, I made sure I took off the day from work. I wanted to make sure I saw it the minute it launched on HBO Max. I was like, with the visual effects these days, this movie will be absolutely amazing because I love the other three. And I sat down and I watched it and I hated it. Everything is so woke now, I guess you can say, as far as some movies go. Like, studios feel they have to push that it's a movie making fun of itself, which is stupid. So, huge missed opportunity here. It just sucks to see that. Man, almost kind of ruined the series for me. Then we have American Underdog with Zachary Levi as Kurt Warner, and he does an absolutely amazing job in this movie. This is a great movie. If you love inspirational sports stories, this is one for you for sure. Check this out. Then we have Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man with Doctor Strange here, you know, and you thought, oh, Robert Downey Jr. is not in it. It's not going to be as good. Benedict Cumberbatch did an amazing job as Doctor Strange in this movie. Probably his best outing as Doctor Strange in any movie, to be honest. But yeah, this is 100% worth checking out for old cameos and stuff like that as well. I mean, great, great movie. Then we have Moonfall from Roland Emmerich. And big Roland Emmerich fan. Love his visuals. This movie's visual effects are amazing. And that's about all that's good about it. All the characters were miscast. Didn't care for Patrick Wilson's character. Halle Berry's character was not good either. Not what you were thinking you were going to see when you saw this movie. I was just expecting a disaster movie. That would have been a lot more fun than what this movie was. But, you know, just the moon falling towards the earth, I mean, how can you stop that? You know, it would have been way better than what this movie turned out to be. I don't know where they made the decision that they did for this movie. I don't want to ruin it for you if you do want to see it. But yeah, comments down below on what you thought of this, if you were disappointed by it or not. Then we have Blacklight with Liam Neeson. Old school action with Liam Neeson. Can't go wrong there. Solid, solid movie. I enjoyed it. You know, out of all of his movies, it's probably not the best one, but it's still very fun to watch. Check it out, definitely, if you're a big Liam Neeson fan or old school action fan. Then we have Uncharted with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. I enjoyed this movie. I like this movie a lot. It's kind of like a current day national treasure, I guess you can say. I hope they make a sequel to this. I would definitely go and see a sequel to this. Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland did great together. A lot of action and adventure. Yeah, 100% recommend this. Then we have The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nicolas Cage, his first movie in the theater in a long time. And it was okay. It wasn't the greatest, but it was okay. Him and Pascal did great together. You know, great chemistry there, but just, you know, it just wasn't Nicolas Cage like you wanted to see Nicolas Cage back in the theater. This is all. Then we have The Northman. I guess Robert Eggers is known for being a very visual director as well, and this movie looks like $1 million. I mean, the visuals of this movie could go right up there with Denis Villeneuve and Christopher Nolan. Unfortunately, the story is only average. Kind of slow moving. You know, you can kind of see a lot of it coming from away. It is brutal, though. It is a really brutal movie. You know, worth checking out if you love, you know, old Viking, ancient war type movies with swords and axes and things like that. But yeah, it lives up to that lore, and yeah, worth checking out for sure. Then we have Memory with Liam Neeson. I enjoyed this. This was a different twist on an old school action movie. You know, assassin who's going through Alzheimer's, having to leave notes for himself to try to remember stuff, but he doesn't remember everything. Yeah, I love twists like that, and at least it was an original idea. Then we've got The Lost City. I would definitely say this is certified fresh. This was a great original comedy, romantic comedy type of movie. Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock do amazing together. Brad Pitt's cameo is hilarious. Even Daniel Radcliffe, who I don't like as an actor, was great in this movie. 100% worth checking out. Great family movie right here. Then we have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I loved this movie. I thought it was better than the original Doctor Strange, because now you're getting into the multiverse deal, and seeing all of the Black Bolt and John Krasinski and all that stuff. 100% worth checking out for cameos alone. So yeah, definitely check that out. Got to complete your MCU universe, Then we have Top Gun Maverick, which is probably the most perfect action movie ever made. I mean, there's a reason it grossed as much as it did. It's a movie to come out that far after its original and be better than the original is very rare, and it shows that Tom Cruise is very dedicated to his craft. He'd rather take a long time to make a good movie than to just churn out movies in mass. And I respect him for that. He does care about the people who want to see his movies. So I wish studios would slow down more like Tom Cruise does and just take the time to make something people actually want to see, and not think that everything has to be some massive, huge budget, rushed movie. Shows that patience does pay off. We've got Jurassic World Dominion. I loved the first Jurassic World movie, and all of them seem to, they're solid watches. I'm not saying none of them are unwatchable, but out of the new trilogy, this is probably the second best, with Fallen Kingdom being the third, the worst, I guess you can say. But I wasn't overly impressed with this movie. I was, each movie I saw, it seemed to let me down a little bit. And I love Chris Pratt and the cast of this movie, and I do like seeing the original people back. But yeah, it is what it is. Then we've got Thor, Love and Thunder. I love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I liked seeing Natalie Portman back. Get to see a lot of your favorite characters here. It was an okay movie. It was a solid addition to the MCU. I didn't hate it. It was definitely better than Eternals. So, like that movie. Then we've got Wakanda Forever. These Black Panther movies surprised me. This is probably one of the best MCU movies I've seen. I absolutely love the story, the actors, the culture, the visuals. They take the time to develop all the characters, not just the main characters. Maybe something that the MCU going forward needs to look into, since they're trying to slow down and reshoot and stuff like that, because audiences, I guess, aren't liking some of what they're seeing. They could take some notes from this movie. Then we've got Avatar, The Way of Water. I didn't like the first Avatar movie. I didn't much care for this one. It's visuals, that's all it is. Story's kind of lame. It is what it is. I know I'll probably get a lot of hate for that, but, whatever. Then we've got Plane with Gerard Butler. I love these old school Gerard Butler action movies. Definitely certified fresh. Plane captain having to land somewhere, in emergency landing. It turns out to be a hostile island. Has to protect all of his passengers. He's got a prisoner on board who has to help him. Typical old school action. I absolutely love it. Then we have Ant-Man and Wasp, Quantumania. This is the debut of Kang, as far as in movies anyway. But yeah, I loved this movie. This is probably the best Ant-Man movie out of all of them, just because they finally gave him like a huge villain to introduce to the universe. Michael, just an amazing cast. Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, Jonathan Majors, everything that's going on with him, that sucks. But, absolutely solid movie worth checking out. Then we've got Creed 3. Solid entry into the Creed franchise. out of the three, this is probably the worst one, just because the story is not inspirational, I guess you can say, like the other two are. But has a different tone to it, which is kind of a little bit refreshing, a little bit. You know, I'm kind of interested to see where they'll go with 4. You know, but I'm a big Michael B. Jordan fan. And then finally we have John Wick 4, probably the best action movie released this year, as to where Top Gun was last year. But yeah, it's 100% worth checking out. If you haven't seen any of the John Wick movies, you need to. They get better and better as they go on. They get more violent and more violent, you know, but they stay grounded. They don't get so ridiculous. So I mean, 100% worth checking out if you haven't seen it before, if you've been living under a rock. But yeah, that's it for this shelf. If you like content like this, please like and subscribe. Your support is much appreciated. I'm also over on Letterboxd. The link to that is over in the description of this channel. Otherwise, until next time, guys, have a good one.